Good morning. I'd like to call to order the recess meeting of June the 25th, 2025. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Baker?
Here.
Commissioner Beck? Here. Commissioner Chauncey?
Here.
Commissioner Graham?
Here.
Commissioner Helton? Here. Dr. Highlander? Here. Dr. Mackey?
Here.
Commissioner Sharp?
Here.
Commissioner Shipley?
Here.
Commissioner Smith?
Here.
Chairman Eversol.
Here. Invocation and pledge to be conducted by Commissioner Baker, so all please rise.
Good morning. Today, the invocation will be led by County Attorney Reuben Taylor.
Let us pray. Our Father, for another day, we are truly thankful for the land in which we live, the government we have, the officials that serve the people and the people that are being served. We give you the thanks. We give you the praise. We give you the glory. We ask for your presence, your guidance, your direction, and all the discussions and deliberations that will be made on this day. And above all, may they be found to be pleasing in your sight. We pray for our land, our country, our government, those that are going through special crises in their lives. We know in each and every situation you are able to intervene and to prevail. These prayers we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, sir. Please face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Baker. Madam Clerk, I'm showing one item on the recessed.
Correct.
Is that correct?
62561.
If we'll read into the record captions, please.
Resolution 625-61, a resolution to approve funds in the amount of $37,343.26 to be used for shoulder repairs at Sam Powell Trail Road out of Parks and Recreation budgeted capital outlay funds.
Motion approved.
Second.
Commissioner Graham made the motion. Commissioner Baker seconded that motion. Let's, Todd, can you talk about this?
Yeah, Chairman. So the Sam Powell Trail serves both our park and the school. So this is an effort to partner with the schools. We're doing some work on Sam Powell out in front of some paving as the schools is. And so this resolution is to partner with the Hamilton County Schools and be able to use some funds from this year's operating budget. That's why it's a late item.
Plus, from my understanding, we're trying to get it done before school starts. Is that correct?
Correct. We're doing some ditch work, some tree work, and also some repaving. And yes, sir, the plan is to get it done before school starts.
Okay. So that's the urgency for us
Yes,
on
sir.
today's recessed item. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. See no lights, no one standing for comment. Ready for roll call?
Commissioner Baker?
Yes.
Commissioner Beck?
Yes.
Commissioner Chauncey?
Yes.
Commissioner Graham?
Yes.
Commissioner Helton? Yes. Dr. Highlander?
Yes.
Dr. Mackey?
Yes.
Commissioner Sharp?
Yes.
Commissioner Shipley?
Yes.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Chairman Eversol.
Yes. So 625-61 passes. While we're in recess, I want to bring up an item that we tabled last week. I guess we came out with some new information. I guess the item that we tabled based on, and I'll ask Ms. Barnell to kind of make sure I don't mess this up, but I guess last week we tabled an item that technically we shouldn't have got. According to the state law, TCA, it's up to the Planning Commission to adopt a plan and send it to the commission for approval. And what we were presented last week was a plan to adopt, when technically we don't adopt plans, we approve plans. So Ms. Varnell, what procedures, what do we need to do with this? I think from my understanding and visiting with Attorney Taylor this morning is potentially, do we need to untable this, take it off the table and send it back to the Planning Commission? How does this work so that we're in compliance with the law?
I mean, I think you can do a couple different things. As I've heard this body say a couple times, tabling resolutions is one way to let the resolutions die. And if you do nothing with them by the next regularly called agenda session or the next regularly called meeting, then they will die. The second option is you can bring them off the table by a supermajority of your rules, and then have a motion to withdraw them, should you choose to take action on them today.
And then send it back to the planning commission for them to
Instruct them to
instruct them to,
certify a plan and bring it before the commission. Yes.
okay. All right. Commissioner Graham?
So if we do nothing, I guess I'm asking the attorneys, if we do nothing today, then it automatically goes back to the planning commission, and then they have to bring forth basically a resolution to us, so those two go away, right? So if we do nothing today, it doesn't have to come off the table. They can do their business just with our instructions saying, send us a resolution with this for approval.
That's right.
Thank you.
So once they send it back to us, I guess it gets a new resolution number, so it doesn't matter where the current one is tabled or not, because it's a new resolution. So, okay, I'm just trying to get clarity out there so that the general public understands. So, okay. Commissioner Mackey?
Thank you, Chair. To use your words, to make sure we have clarity in terms of what we're doing. Last week, we voted to table a resolution. And how is it that it's coming back up?
Legally, and I'll re-explain, legally, the resolution says that we were to adopt. The word is adopt. Our body, the commission, does not have the authority to adopt. We have the authority to approve the plan. By state statute, state law, it's up to the planning commission to adopt. And then once they adopt, they send to us, okay, to approve. So that's, I guess the language in the resolution should have been approved, not adopt.
So if we have passed a resolution that was not adopted before, do we bring that up also?
Guess I'm confused. Re-explain that.
If we go back in the records and we pull resolutions that we passed, but those same resolutions were not adopted, do we then act on those as well?
I think, I guess in this case, there's specific state laws that give the planning commission the authority to adopt, and it does not give us the authority to adopt. So in the past, I can't, if you give me an example, we can get some legal advice, but I think the key word is here, Commissioner Mackey, is that we stick to the words adopt.
Well,
Hang on a second. State law gives the planning commission the authority by law to adopt, and us the authority to approve.
Mr. Chairman, I heard that 3 times, but I'm still trying to understand. If anyone go back into the record and we have passed something that was not adopted by one of the commissions, what do we do with that?
You'll have to give me an example, I guess.
Maybe I can help.
Attorney Barnell?
Yes. It's specific to this particular statute and this particular resolution, talking about the regional comprehensive plan for Plan Hamilton. So the state statute that requires a planning commission to adopt a regional comprehensive plan does not allow the legislative body to adopt something that has not already been certified by the planning commission. And so we're only talking about this particular resolution and this particular state statute.
What about the principle that you're speaking about? If a resolution come to us that was not adopted, but we pass it anyway, do we go back and change that as well? Let me say what it seems to me. There's a huge push by some entities to slow growth. one form of that opposition to growth came in the push where there was an attempt to create a second regional planning authority. And that was not adopted. So this seems to be another bite at the apple of trying to slow down growth in Hamilton County. And I assure you, that group of people you saw last week, if we tried to pass a tax, and you know well, Hamilton County's budget is very tight. And the days before something comes up to where we're going to be asked to pass a tax increase, those same people are going to be emboldened, in my opinion, to come down and stare at some of these commissioners and scare them. But the original statement, if we take an action that was not passed by one of the commissions, one of those authorities, and we go back and find cases where we took action and the entity that sent it to us did not adopt it themselves, do we change that at the same time?
I think you'd have to look at it on a case-by-case basis.
No, I want to operate on principle, miss.
Well, again, Dr. Mackey, we're talking about a particular state statute on this particular situation.
Chairman, I'll let it go.
Thank you, Commissioner Chauncey, or Commissioner Mackey. I was looking at Chauncey's name here. Commissioner Chauncey?
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Ms. Marnell, for the clarification. So I just want to remind everybody, back in May, when the Planning Commission had their meeting, RPA had actually instructed at the beginning of the meeting, they instructed the Planning Commission to not adopt the plan, but give this body guidance as to wherever they wanted to go. So that was kind of confusing to me. And I don't see Ms. Rannick here. Brian, if I don't want to throw you under the bus, but if you want to speak to it, you can. But I know that RPA has their own legal staff maybe, and maybe, our legal staff and RPA's legal staff can kind of communicate together to iron this legal issue out. Because I did bring it to Ruben's attention before our committee meeting. I said, this is really bizarre on how this is handled. This has got to be some legal issues here that we got to look at. And I did bring it to your attention. I called you. And so this is where we're at. But like I said, I think if for communication purposes, if our legal staff could communicate with RPAs to really understand why we're being asked to do something. Brian, if you want to.
State law does say the authority to adopt a plan is the Regional Planning Commission. They certify that through the state and then send that to this body either to adopt or not adopt. Planning Commission in May had the plan in front of them. They chose to send to this body we didn't want two plans out there, a plan by the Planning Commission, and a plan this body could not support. So the Planning Commission sent it to this body for general guidance. Do y'all feel comfortable with the plan, Hamilton? And if so, send it back to us being the Planning Commission, to adopt, and then send it back up here for adoption. That didn't happen last week. The resolution was added to adopt it.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Brian, but it's all really confusing and it's obviously some legal issues. And that's what I'd asked to do is, y'all do have your own attorney, is that correct?
We use the county attorney. If it's in the county and the city, it's the city attorney.
Okay. Well, because to me, I think Ms. Rannick was telling me that was legal. There was a state statute that guided them to do the procedure to bring it to us the way they did.
Because the resolution from Planning Commission, the first resolution that was on your agenda was to review and provide guidance on the plan and to take action on the home builder amendments. That was the first resolution.
Yeah.
Then we were directed last week or week before to change it to adopt. And that's what was tabled last week.
Thank you, Chairman.
Okay. Mr. Baker?
Right. So it seems to me that if you wanted our guidance and we ended up with a resolution, which are two different things, why didn't we have like a work session or we could sit down and talk to you about the plan. I mean, there's no reason we should have had a resolution here for us to adopt when there was nothing to adopt because it hadn't been adopted at
Right.
the planning commission.
And I'll leave that to Nathan and Dan Roller, our director. I think those meetings did happen or are supposed to happen one-on-one with you guys during the plan. We've had several neighborhood meetings.
Yeah, we've had 100 meetings,
Yes.
but the fact that you wanted our guidance, our advice should have been a work session instead of a resolution that we,
Right.
voted on one way or another. It doesn't matter how we voted.
Right.
So I'm confused why we did that.
We were directed by Planning Commission to send it up here
Okay.
for guidance, because in theory, the Planning Commission could adopt the plan. They could adopt the plan next month, Plan
Right,
Hamilton.
right.
Uh,
Which is
what
what they
this-
should do. And then we can vote to adopt it, amend it, whatever we do, but it's got to be adopted by the planning commission first.
Right, certified to this body.
Correct. Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Beck?
So, Mr. Chairman, what you're asking us to do is to sort of like start all over again? Am I correct in thinking that?
I don't know if it's start all over again.
Or just let it die like, Ms. Varnell suggested?
I think our attorneys have said that we can do, one of two things. We can let it die on the table and instruct that it goes back to the planning commission and them to review, them to adopt, because they got to send it to the state as well for state certification. Is that correct, Brian? Once they adopt, they send it to the state.
That's correct. Once the Planning Commission adopts it, they certify it to the state that we would adopt this plan as our guiding plan for zoning cases. This body doesn't have to adopt it. If this body does adopt it, then every land use decision after that has to follow that plan. And we were operating under the guidance that this body wanted to adopt Plan Hamilton.
Of course we do after the RPC adopts it.
Right.
So,
Again, following the law.
so you're still saying we have two directions we can go in?
We've got two.
And so
yeah.
we need to hear from this is what direction we're actually gonna adopt, go in, rather.
Well, I'm
Which
waiting
one
for,
is-
I'm waiting for a motion. If somebody wants to remove it from the table, or if there's no motions, then we let it die on the table.
Okay.
So I think that's kind of the direction from the chair. Commissioner Hilton?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Brian, I'd like to ask one more question about the mechanics of the process. So if the planning commission sends something to us that they have adopted, it's approved by the state, if we amend it, it goes back through the process again, doesn't it?
That's correct. If this body chooses to amend something in that plan, it has to go back to the Planning Commission for their review and send it back to this body.
Okay. And
That's
then
why we
does it
were
ha-
trying to get them all on the same
And it
page
has
at
to
one
go back
time.
to the state again
Yes,
and then come to us for approval.
yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Sharp?
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman. Where did the miscommunication happen here? I'm a little confused. Does anybody know? I mean, and I don't know who to address this question to, but there's a statute that's been referenced multiple times regarding this topic. What statute is that?
Give me 1 second.
Okay. I'd like to look at it myself. If somebody could just, I don't know, I'm assuming everybody'd like to see it. We could maybe have some copies made. And I guess the short of that, it's like I can't remember the word. We mentioned the difference between adopting something and what was the other word that was used? Approve. So what this body's supposed to do is approve, I guess, according to this statute that we've not seen. And the resolution was written to adopt. I don't know the legal differences in those two words, but I guess that's something I would like some clarity on also. But I mean, I don't know what we do to move. Yeah, I guess that's it. Those were my questions, Chairman.
Yeah, Commissioner Highlander?
Thank you. I think Commissioner Sharp make a good point, but one thing I've thought about is that there were two plans to look at review. The Plan Hamilton and the home builders, changes that were made. We can't adopt both of them. So we had to do one, and only one can be sent to the state. So it's obvious that, somebody dropped the ball. I don't know, maybe me, maybe all of us. I don't know who, but we need to just do this thing the right way and take care of it. But I agree. I understand what you're saying, but since the ball was dropped, we got to straighten it out. They can't send two plans to us and us accept both of them. We've got to do one plan, and they have to go to the state with that plan. They have to vote on it. And I was at Mr. Chauncey, and the planning commission did a good job. I sat in the audience and listened to them. They reviewed it well, but they sent it to us for review. And somehow we misinterpreted that and thought we were supposed to vote. And we did incorrectly. We just need to straighten it out. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Shipley?
If we remove them both from the table, it changes nothing. We just think we start over. So clear the water up for residents as well as everybody. I'd make a motion to remove them from the table.
I'll second.
And it don't change anything for the people. It don't change anything for the home builders. It just starts brand new.
Mr. Chairman.
So for clarity here, Madam Clerk, we've got a motion to remove an item, so we need the resolution number, I guess.
I'm assuming you're
Point of
going to do
order,
both.
Chairman, point of order. And maybe I don't see this right because it was kind of hectic last week. But if I recall, there was a motion to pull it off the table last week. And the commissioner from District 1, along with some others, were on not the prevailing side. So I don't know that someone that was not on the prevailing side of a motion and a vote can make the same motion again in another meeting. I don't believe that's within our rules.
Attorney
Chairman,
Davis.
the requirement to be on the prevailing side does not encompass a motion to remove from the table. And it is a second meeting. So, and as Attorney Barnell said, you can bring this up at a subsequent meeting, something that has been tabled. And so therefore it is in order. Anybody can make that motion.
Okay. So it's a great point. So we're looking at, can we do two items at once, or do we have to do one item at a
I'd
time?
ask the person making the motion if they want to include 62559 and 62560.
So Commissioner Shipley,
Yes, sir.
are you wanting both items removed from the table that was added last week, which is
Yes,
629,
it would have to be both items.
59 and 629-60? Hang on till I get clarity here.
It would have to be both items. And
All
so
right.
we're not gonna pass either one of them. We're just gonna remove them and they're dead
So remove them and send them back to the
to the
planning commission.
planning commission.
All right, so we have a motion on the table. Before I get Commissioner Mackey, I'm gonna make sure we're clear. There's a motion on the table to remove two items from the table, which is 629-59 and 629-60.
62559 and 62560.
625-59, 625-60.
Correct.
And those are items that we tabled last week. So the motion is out here by Commissioner Shipley. It's seconded by Commissioner Highlander. So that's the motion we have on the table.
Correct.
So now I'm going to grab some lights. Commissioner Mackey.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, are we changing our rules? If a person's not on the prevailing side, can they bring that same item back to the table? Question.
think if you go back and look at records, we'll look at this two ways. What you're stating is that the prevailing side must bring it up. Commissioner Shipley was on the prevailing side because he voted for it to go on the table. And he brought it up to take it off the table. But in this case, Attorney Taylor, you're saying that that a tabled item, anybody can ask for it to come off the table.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, this is not a motion to reconsider. A motion to reconsider has to be brought by someone on the prevailing side.
Right.
Chairman, Chairman, we voted last week. And then when the meeting was pretty much over, did this item come before this commission again?
Yes, sir. And
There seems to be a group bent on pushing this Hamilton plan forward. And it seems to be done in an illegal way. We voted. Meeting was pretty much over, and after we left, there was an attempt to pass it again. And it failed because it didn't have the supermajority. And yet here it is, a third or fourth time where it's been pushed. How is that right?
first of all, Commissioner Mackey, the meeting was not over last week when this item was brought up.
But you will agree.
I'm only going to agree, Commissioner Mackey, that there was nothing illegal about what happened and what transpired. There's nothing illegal about today. If you will please ask your legal questions to the attorneys, I think they will answer your questions. Do you have a legal question for the attorneys?
I do, but I'm trying to be pointed and get through this. There's a game being played. That rule dealing with the supermajority is being circumvented. And this thing is being railroaded through this body. There's a group who want to pass Plan Hamilton, and they will make themselves obvious in a few minutes. But the point being, we voted to put it on the table. And we tabled it. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Commissioner Chauncey.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Commissioner Mackey. I know that I was saying, just because you can do something don't mean you should, right?
Exactly.
And we all have an ethical responsibility up here regardless, obviously to follow the law and do what's right amongst our peers. But for me, I would just like to see this die. I think the cleanest way to let this thing move forward is just to let it die on the vine, let it stay on the table, instead of just bickering up here. We do have some more business to discuss. But I would like to see it die that way. So I'm not in support of taking it off the table. And I think we've given some direction to staff, RPA staff, on how to proceed further. And as the chairman of the zoning committee, I'll try to make sure that we all are on the same page. And as far as Plan Hamilton being reworked or represented, I'll try to update you guys on that. But as far as the motion on the table, I won't support it. Thank you.
Commissioner Graham.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner Chauncey basically just took the words right out of my mouth. I think it's neater and cleaner if it has to be reworked and revoted on anyway. I think it's neater and cleaner, just let it die on the vine. And here's the other thing, we're doing this, we seem to be doing this quite often. We're just pulling a rabbit out of a hat, and all the people that were here in support or against whichever version they were here for, I mean, in my opinion only, this is very disrespectful to them by trying to pull another vote this week with all of them not being notified to be in the room with us. So I just think it'd be, as Commissioner Chauncey said, it'd just be a whole lot cleaner and a whole lot better for both sides of all. I mean, this was a packed house. I think it'd be cleaner for everybody if we just let it die and move on to our agenda. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks, sir. All respect intended, the rabbit in the hat, I think was kind of legally, we were advised that we needed to do something and bring it to everyone's attention. So that's the rabbit in the hat. So Commissioner Sharp?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. I guess my question is kind of in line with all of that, of those comments. If the resolutions stay on the table as they were brought to us last week, is there any reason why the Planning Commission, this is an assumption, is that whatever it is that they approve is not going to be what was in those two resolutions? Is there any reason they can't continue their work with these resolutions on the table? No. Yes. I mean, I don't see any reason to act. I will, if we continue to vote on this, I'll vote just to leave it on the table. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Baker?
Thank you, sir. Yeah, I understand. Either way, on the table, leaving it on the table, it dies. Or if we vote to take it off the table, it dies. I think we voted on something we shouldn't have voted on, frankly. And I think it shows leadership on our part to pull it off the table and let it die. I just think that's the right thing because we never should have voted on it in the first place. So that's just my opinion. Either way, it's going to die. I just think that we need to show leadership on a position that we shouldn't have voted on in the first place. Thank you.
Commissioner Highlander?
Thank you, Chairman. May I ask both attorneys their opinion on legal opinion, sir?
Sure.
Sir, ma'am, correct me if I'm wrong. If we take it off the table, it dies, it's dead. We send it back. We go back to the Planning Commission and they redo it. If we don't take it off the table, it dies and it just stays here, but dead. And we still send back to the Planning Commission. So the end result is the same no matter which we do. Am I correct in understanding that?
Not completely, Commissioner.
Okay.
If you take it off of the table, it's now back up for your consideration. You can act on it or you can act to send it back. You are deciding what you have put away last week. You're going to bring it back today. Then do something with it. And it seems to be the sentiment is you want to send it back, but you can't send it back as long as it's on the table. So you need to take it off of the table to send it back. Or as Attorney Varnell said, if you don't do anything but leave it on the table, it's still basically dying and going back anyway.
So it'll automatically go back to them?
Yes, sir.
Well, really, it's irrelevant which one we do then, isn't it? Totally irrelevant. So we're okay.
Unless you want to undo what you did because you shouldn't have done it.
Yeah. Well, we made a mistake. We shouldn't have done it.
But you all were told that this was deviating from the norm and that they were asking for direction from you all. So you were told that.
Okay. Well, someone dropped the ball somewhere. Thank you.
Okay. Attorney Varnell, you have those TCS?
Yeah, Commissioner Sharp, I have that statute. It's TCA 13-3-304. TCA 13-3-304.
Mr. Sharp?
Yeah, Chairman, thank you. I just wanted to, there's been a lot of words here said today about tabling something with the intention of it dying. I just wanted, for the record, my vote to table was not made with the intent of the resolution dying. I just want to be clear with that. My thought was that the resolution was not complete. It needed some more work. There needed to be additional input to find a stronger level of support for a plan prior to voting on it. That was my intent. And I just wanted to be clear with that. It dying on the vine, so to speak, was not the intent behind my vote. And I don't know that that was the case for anyone. for that matter.
I think it
I
was.
can't speak for anyone else, but I just wanted to clarify that personally. And thank you for the time.
Okay. Commissioner Shipley, do you have something you like? Came on and went off? Okay. All right. Commissioner Graham.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I agree with Commissioner Sharp. I had no intentions of it dying. I thought we could merge the two. I thought we could come together and figure out the differences between the two and then come up with something to vote on. So for the record, I guess like Commissioner Sharp did, for the record, I had no intentions when I voted for it to go on the table for it to die. I'm ready for this to be passed and approved, and I'm ready for us to move on. But I'm just afraid that with no notification to all the people in the audience, they're going to get the wrong impression of what we're doing here today. So I think it's neater and cleaner just to leave it alone. Thank you, sir.
Commissioner Smith.
Thank you, sir. I just want a point of clarification on the consequences of certain motions. In this case, while the intention of any of my colleagues was not to allow this to die, the use of a table, while our procedure overrides Robert's rules in the number of members it takes to put it on the table or remove it from the table, it does not change the fact that Robert's rules says you have 1 week or the next regular meeting to bring it off the table or it dies. So if you table anything, you must intend to bring it off the table at the next regular meeting or it dies. So while that may not have been the intention, that is the function of that motion. So just to be clear, if we want to put something away for a while, it needs a deferral with a date specific for the future. But if you table it, you have one next meeting to bring it off the table or it dies. That is the function of a table. And this would be the meeting. Thank you, sir.
Okay, see no more lights. We have a motion on the table to remove 2 items from the table, which is 625-59 and 625-60. So I guess either way it dies today. So, but the motions have been given to take it off the table.
If there's no action, the motion dies.
Yeah. So, but we do have that motion. It's
Correct.
by Commissioner Shipley and second by Commissioner Howler. So Madam Clerk, we'll roll call.
Commissioner Baker?
Yes.
Commissioner Beck?
Yes.
Commissioner Chauncey?
No.
Commissioner Graham?
No.
Commissioner Helton? Dr. Highlander?
It's irrelevant, but yes.
Dr. Mackey?
No.
Commissioner Sharp? Commissioner Shipley? Commissioner Smith?
No.
Chairman Eversol.
Yes. We got Commissioner Sharp walking back in. To remove the items from the table.
To remove the items from the table. I already said I'd say no, so no.
Motion fails.
Yep. Okay, so the 2 items stay on the table and are sent back to the planning commission, so they're dead for us. So the planning commission. Okay. All right. Okay. Commissioner Baker, do you have something else?
I do. Now that we're in recess, I'd like to introduce another resolution. Steve, could you pass that down, please?
Yes, sir.
Just to get, my concern is that we've been, well, for me personally, I've been working on this for 3.5 years. For most of you, have been working on it for 2 years. What this resolution would be, Brooke, here's a copy, would be a temporary pause on plat approvals so that we could complete Plan Hamilton. And basically, this is a temporary stop for new plats that will commence on July 2nd. And it will be imposed for a period of 30 days with our ability to extend this unless Plan Hamilton is adopted. The intent of this is to get people motivated to finish the plan. And so I'd like to introduce this amendment.
Madam Clerk.
It's a motion.
I will second.
I'm sorry, resolution. Thank you, sir.
Commissioner Baker. Commissioner Highlander, second that.
This would be a resolution number 625-62.
Okay. All right, Commissioner Hilton.
But reading this, it says for a period of 90 days in your,
That's, yeah, I'm sorry. I changed it to 30 days with the ability to extend. So thank you.
okay.
So recent change I made, 30 days with the ability to extend. So, Madam Clerk, it's 30 days with, I
If
miswrote
we
it.
can just get a corrected official resolution for our records, that'd be great.
I'll get it to you after. Thank you.
City Commissioner Hilton.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Commissioner Graham.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm trying to use my words carefully. Not to offend anyone, and I really do not want to offend anyone, but there again, this is us trying to sneak one by with nobody in the audience to support it or against it. Nobody notified to support it or against it. This is us trying to do a last ditch effort to stop growth in Hamilton County, in my opinion. And here's the thing. I think we heard this from our Chamber of Commerce. There's been several articles written about it. We're telling everybody that was here before us, and we have a former commissioner in the audience, we're telling everybody that was here before us that worked really, really hard, including several people up here, to get Volkswagen, to get Amazon, to get suppliers, to get different things started and going in our county. And we're basically taking all their hard work, and in my opinion, all their hard work should be like a baton they pass on to us and we carry it forward. But what we're basically doing is telling the people that were here before us, you didn't get it right. We're going to put the brakes on all this and we're going to change directions. We don't like all the growth. We don't like the new jobs, and we don't like the new companies coming to town. This sends a horrible, horrible message to not just Hamilton County citizens, but to Nashville, the people that try to help us land the jobs, to the Chamber of Commerce for here locally and for the state. This sends a message to everybody in the United States that Hamilton County doesn't want your business. This is a horrible thing to do. I'll be voting no. Thank you.
Commissioner Beck.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I thought, and I think the last time I made this observation, and this is going to be the second time, I thought we had agreed that we wouldn't pull in at last minute resolutions unless it was an emergency or something like that. And, well, you know, as far as my constituents are concerned, they want to know if I've studied these things before I vote on them. And from what I hear is that it's already been studied, it's already been worked on for 2 years and whatever. And for the last minute to get a resolution up here like this, I haven't had a chance to look it over. So I couldn't be supporting it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Baker.
Yeah, I understand what Commissioner Beck's saying, and I appreciate it. We need to get people off the dime, and this is a way. It's only a 30-day stay on plats. It doesn't stop development. And I totally disagree with what Commissioner Graham said about we're not open for business for the United States. I'm sorry, but I disagree with you on that. This is simply to get both sides together to negotiate and come up with an opportunity for something that we've been working on and spent a lot of money over the last 2 years, for me, 3.5. And we need to show, again, leadership to show that we can come together with our colleagues. We had a meeting about 2 months ago with the home builders and the realtors to talk about how we come together. Well, let's come together. Let's do this. Let's get it done. And let's put Plan Hamilton in its best form forward for us to vote on in the right way. Thank you.
Commissioner Sharp.
Thank you, Chairman. Let me first start by saying I appreciate a colleague from District 2's efforts in representing his constituency. I understand the concerns there and appreciate the level of determination that he has in representing his district. But I don't know that this is the right way to go about it personally. When's the next, I've got a question, and this may be best for our colleague from District 8. When's the next Planning Commission meeting?
Should be the first Monday of July.
So that's coming right around the corner. So even if it were, no, so that'd be the 7th. And then the 4th of,
Is that right, Brian?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
The first Monday of July, the next planning commission meeting?
The 14th.
Second Monday.
second Monday.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so like, even if it took 2 planning commission meetings, you're looking at 30. No, it's 45 days. 45 days. I have confidence that this group can do that work in that amount of time, in 45 days. So I appreciate this resolution. I understand. I don't want to discount its merit, but I don't see the necessity of it. Thank you, Chairman.
Commissioner Highlander?
This is a question for Commissioner Baker, but I want to ask it publicly. You did say no new plat approvals, not rezoning, correct?
I said no new plats.
Okay.
It doesn't stop development, doesn't, it just makes the opportunity for people to come together sooner than later to come up with the best opportunity for Plan Hamilton that people can compromise and agree on. Thank you.
So by this plan, they could still rezone under the current plan. Okay, thank you.
Okay. See no more lights, no one standing. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Commissioner Baker,
Yes.
Commissioner Beck,
No.
Commissioner Chauncey,
No.
Commissioner Graham,
No.
Commissioner Helton,
Yes.
Dr. Highlander,
Yes.
Dr. Mackey,
No?
Commissioner Sharp,
No.
Commissioner Shipley,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Eversol.
Yes. So 625-62 passes.
Correct.
Okay.
For the record, Chairman, do you mind if we read into the record the title and number?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Madam Clerk.
Resolution 625-62, a resolution of the Hamilton County Board of Commissioners to implement a temporary moratorium on plat approvals in Hamilton County, Tennessee.
Okay. Commissioner Mackey, something that's still in our recess meeting?
Thank you, Chairman. Chairman, do we have a rule or not that resolutions can't come, that there's a certain amount of time necessary before they can be brought to this body? Is there, did we have an understanding on that or not?
I guess I need your clarity on that.
Well,
Commissioner.
I thought you yourself had said if a resolution was to come forward, they needed 2 days prior to for it to be put on the agenda. And this one was put on in 3 minutes.
I think
5 minutes. 5 minutes. He's right. 5 minutes.
I think any commissioner can bring into recess in the meeting an item, and if it gets a motion to be voted on and gets a second, that it can be voted on. So that's the recess meeting, and it's, we've had another item on here as well to get something done at a school while the kids are not in school.
So we do or we don't have a time limit?
If there's a reason, a legitimate reason for something being added, Commissioner Mackey, if you bring something on a recess meeting and there's a legitimate reason that needs to be voted on that day, bring it to the meeting. So that's the rules. So,
Thank you again, Chair.
Brian, do you have something?
Well, can I clarify the resolution? So we're saying no, because my staff does the plats for the Planning Commission in Hamilton County. This takes effect July 2nd. We have plats on the agenda for July 14th. Does that mean those don't move forward? Even though they were submitted back in April? So those apply on July 14th, no new plats.
Commissioner Baker, can you answer his question? Because it's your resolution.
It's effective July 2nd.
Okay.
Okay, Commissioner Chauncey.
So let's just say that Plan Hamilton does not get approved in this 30-day period expires, then we go back to approving plats? Is that?
Yeah, so 30 days, we'll bring it back here. If there's no movement, we can vote up or down to extend it. But hopefully there's movement by then. That's the whole gist of this. Thank you.
Brian, I don't mind, do you have any idea how many plats that you had on next month's agenda?
We have probably 15.
15?
Some of them are final
plats?
plats, some of them are preliminary plats. There's probably 5 in the city.
You know, I
the
just,
other
you know,
10.
you didn't, we just passed this and you had no idea what you were doing. You didn't even look at the plats that were up for approval. You didn't even, it's just an overreach of government and I'm just tired of it. When's it gonna stop?
We are going to move on from recess meeting. We'll now go into the agenda session. So Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Baker,
Here.
Commissioner Beck, Commissioner Chauncey, Commissioner Graham,
I'm still here.
Commissioner Helton, Dr. Highlander, Dr. Mackey,
Here.
Commissioner Sharp,
Here.
Commissioner Shipley, Commissioner Smith, Chairman Eversol.
Here. Today is the last commission meeting that we will have Attorney Taylor presiding over a commission meeting as far as our legal advice. And I want to take the opportunity personally to congratulate Attorney Taylor on his outstanding career with Hamilton County. I will tell you this from me. This is Jeff to Ruben. You've been a absolute great resource of knowledge that's helped me throughout my almost 3 years of being a commissioner. You've told me, give me advice on things that we could do and things that you said, no, we don't need to go there. And I just want to thank you for your leadership with the county. The commissioners would like to present you a plaque. And what this plaque says the Honorable Ruben Taylor, thank you for your 47 years of dedicated service to Hamilton County and its citizens. June the 30th, 2025. Be careful, that sits in the top of it. And it looks like a diamond shape because you're a diamond. Now, but below that desk there, you'll see a white box below where you're at. That's a box that goes in, so you can safely get it to wherever you need to get it. So, Commissioner Baker.
Ruben, I guess I've worked with you for 7 years here, but one of my favorite things was always at the time of Riverbend when you and I would meet. And that was always kind of a special thing. There were certain things during a very stressful time that I look forward to, and was always seeing you. But tomorrow I will be heading to Colorado, and thanks to you and your guidance, I will be officiating my niece's wedding. And which the first one I did was my son. And I'll tell you what, there's no greater feeling as a father to be able to officiate his son's wedding. And there's no I couldn't have done it without you. And I just wanted to thank you for your guidance in doing that, because it's, you know, and as much as I enjoyed seeing you at Riverbend, probably top of my list, right up there, would be being able to officiate my son's wedding. And I so appreciate you for that and for just your guidance over the years. And I thank you so much.
Commissioner Smith?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ruben, I don't know that I could even come close to some of the comments I'm sure you're about to hear. Most of these gentlemen have worked with you much longer than I've had the opportunity to. But in the short time, I just want to let you know how much I appreciate all the answered phone calls, all the insight, the shared knowledge you've given me. And to what Commissioner Baker was just talking about, it's not just from the professional standpoint that you serve as a county attorney, but in a couple of cases, it's very personal as well. Many times we don't have a pastor here on Wednesdays. And every time you step to the mic and deliver in something that is so critical, in my opinion, to opening this meeting, you've always been there for us in that. And that is far beyond the duties of a county attorney. And so for that, I am very thankful. In addition, same thing with the wedding ceremony. I remember when I called you, I'm like, hey, am I allowed to do this? I heard I could, and had some very dear friends that had asked, and you're like, yeah, you can do it. I'm like, don't treat me like I know the answer, like I'm asking you. And then you offered to help me with the oath and exactly how to do it. Again, outside of the necessity of county attorney, you were there because you cared and you wanted to make sure that we did things right. And for that, I'll always be grateful. Thank you so much for all your service.
Attorney Varnell, I don't know if have you got your pastoral license yet?
Get it?
Commissioner Highlander?
Thank you, Chairman. Reuben, you may not remember this, but about 40 years ago, I was one of the administrators for the CETA program. Actually, Greg Vital did the city and I was with the county, and you were on the commission and some things came up and you helped me understand some of the legal ramifications that I had to deal with. You weren't even the county attorney then, but you were one of the commissioners, and you helped me many times long ago. And then secondly, my father-in-law was an attorney and he would turn his phone off sometimes. He wouldn't answer the phone at certain times. I have never called evening, weekend, or whatever that you did not fail to either answer it or call me right back. And that means a lot when something I'm trying to deliberate over. My friend Commissioner Sharp talked about wanting to understand and deliberate, and you explained things to me legally that I needed to know, and not just during office hours. I mean, you were our attorney 24/7, and I'm sure Ms. Varnell will be the same way. But secondly, several references have been made to your ministerial capacity. And I also have had that capacity. When you pray, it's obvious it's not the first time. You're close to the Lord, and that's really obvious in the way you pray. And that means a lot. And I'm thankful you're my constituent. God bless you, sir. Thank you.
Commissioner Mackey?
Thank you, Chair. Attorney Taylor, from the deepest part of my heart, I want to say thank you for the guidance that you have rendered to me. As it's been said before, it's obvious that when we've called on you, you've shown up, and I want to tell you, I'm going to miss you. And the last thing I want to say is, Mr. Taylor, in your honor, I wore a tie that is your fraternity colors. You know, I wear gold ties and you wear the purple, but as they're going away, I want to say thank you and Godspeed.
You get used to it.
Commissioner Beck?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Attorney Taylor and Reuben, as we so lovingly call you. My wife and I would certainly like to extend to you our most sincere gratitude for you helping my constituents and her husband since we've been up here. And thank you. I'm sure I speak for my entire community. It was just good knowing that they had a friend like you up here in county government that they could always call on that would stand for my community. So thank you so much. Said a lot the last time and tried to say something new this time, but it's hard to say something better than thank you. Thank you.
Commissioner Graham?
Man, what a great guy. What a great man. You've done so many wonderful things for the county, but on a personal note, you helped me to marry my oldest son as well. I mean, you basically taught me how to do it. And that was, as Commissioner Baker said, it was a great honor for me. And you helped me get through it. You helped me with the sermon and everything. And I appreciate that. My son's still married, so it worked. Got 3 kids. But as a county attorney, the first day that I got elected, the very first time, you may not even realize this, but you became a mentor that day. You gave us direction, and you schooled us on procedures, and you schooled us on what to do and what not to do, what to say, what not to say, in a manner of which way we're trying to get our point still across. You didn't care about party or any other affiliation whatsoever. You were so neutral, but so inspiring. For that, I thank you. I think that you have made me, in a lot of ways, the commissioner I am today. So I still have a lot to learn, but I want to thank you for that. My wife and daughter are walking in right now, not to embarrass them, but they had to be here today too, being that this was your last commission day. My wife and my daughter, and you've known my children now for about 12 years, and they love you. We love you. To Miss Taylor, thank you for sharing him with us. Have fun. He's yours now. Have fun. I know the honey-do list is probably getting longer, but I know you love to travel. I know you love photography like my wife does. So from the bottom of my heart, from my family's heart, thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Commissioner Shipley?
And Reuben talked a little this morning about a long time ago. I knew Reuben through my grandfather, HQ Abbott, Dalton Roberts, way back when I was a Democrat.
Good guy.
And that's how I knew Reuben many, many years ago. I've known him all through the years, but I want to thank you, Reuben, for the time I've been here, the help you've given me. And I've even married a couple of people, and it stuck. So I tell them, you know, if I'm going to do this, you got to stay married. But thank you for everything you've done for Hamilton County. Friendship I've had with you many, many years. And thanks for your help the past 3. Thank you.
You got somebody behind you, Commissioner Jeter, that wants to come up and say a few words.
Good morning. Kathleen Jeter, 1221 Tally Road. To this commission, thank you so much for this opportunity. I can't lie, I had to write my words down because I am full of emotions on thinking about what a person like Attorney Taylor has meant to the entire county, to be honest, but specifically, I'm going to be personal to the Black community in Hamilton County. So that's where these words come from. I want to be able to see you. Can you? Thank you. They get to enjoy, but this is personal for you. Today, I want to take a moment to express deep gratitude and appreciation for you, Attorney Taylor, a true community servant whose legacy spans over 32 years of dedicated service to our county. Your remarkable journey is a testament to unwavering commitment, professionalism, and integrity, setting an inspiring example for all of us, especially African-American leaders within our community. Attorney Taylor, your leadership has built more than just a career. It has paved a path of hope and possibility for others to follow. Your dedication has illuminated the way for countless individuals, including myself, making my work on the County Commission not just possible, but meaningful. Your legacy is one of perseverance, excellence, and service, leaving a lasting impact that will inspire future generations to serve with integrity. As I reflect on your contributions, I'm reminded of a quote by First Lady Ware, which I live by daily. Your integrity will always be challenged. Your character will be questioned and sometimes slandered. Your position will even bring great opposition. But when your spirit is rooted and grounded in the Lord, nothing, and I'm going to add no one, can deviate you from your divine purpose, your position, and your power. Attorney Taylor, you did that by exemplifying resilience and steadfastness, especially in these latter days of your service. Thank you, Attorney Taylor, for your service, your leadership, and the shining example you have set. Job well done. Your legacy is a beacon of hope and a catalyst for continued community progress. And I believe that true legacy is more than what we leave behind. It's about the seeds we plant along our journey. Those seeds nurtured with purpose and love, they do grow into the enduring fruit of a meaningful legacy that continues to inspire and uplift generations to come. On a personal note, I am immensely grateful for the seed of your service as a county commissioner. It has meant and done so much for me personally. It is truly an honor to say, for me to say, that part of my journey now includes being among a remarkable bench of some of the best African-American elected officials, specifically a few county commissioners that helped build that bench, which includes great leaders like you. Many blessings and a heartfelt gratitude to you. Thank you.
Thank you all. I am truly touched, blessed to have been able to serve this county for so many years. I thank you for allowing me to do that. It has been a pleasure just knowing that we had the support of so many fine elected officials from all across the county. I want to just bring out a couple of things. As I said last week, I'm very supportive and appreciative of the supportive staff that I've had over these years, many of whom you were able to recognize last week. I'm thankful. A lot has been said about my prayer life. Well, I'm thankful for a wife that, as I said before a few weeks ago, prays for me every Wednesday before I walk out the house. And a daughter that calls me every Wednesday afternoon just to see how did it go. So I'm thankful for my family's support. There's my wife back there. Commissioner Graham thought I was joking, and he mentioned it this morning. He thought I was joking in the eulogy that I gave for Claude Ramsey several years ago, where I made mention of the fact that this form of government really, in this day and time when you hear so much about DEI, diversity, inclusion, diversity, equity, and inclusion, this form of government was formed on that principle. Because back in 1978, we were trying to rectify a problem that existed, particularly in Hamilton County. The non-representation of a segment of our community, several segments of our community. And as a result of what the voters did, 3 segments of our community that had not found representation in county government then became a part of county government: Blacks, women, and Republicans. That was not a joke that I said back then. It was Claude Ramsey's efforts, along with Reverend McDaniel's efforts, that helped spearhead the Constitutional Convention to change this form of government that we have now. Over the years, I have had an opportunity and I've been blessed to say prayers as the commission meeting started. Before I was a county attorney, I was asked to pray a couple of times, and I said, Reverend McDaniel was never asked to pray. So he taught me I'm in one role. Someone quickly told me, you ain't Reverend McDaniel. So I remembered anytime I get an opportunity to pray, I pray. And I thank you for the service that you've allowed me to perform. I wish you well. I wish Attorney Varnell well in her efforts going forward. Ask you all to be patient with her, cooperate with her. I'm sure she'll do you a great job. Again, I thank you for this honor. I thank you for this support. I thank you again for those from the office that have come in. And this is truly a blessing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Taylor, I'm going to ask your bride, Miss Joyce, if you will come up front. We're going to take some pictures, and what I'd like is if we get a picture of you and Attorney Taylor, I guess, to the side there. Then I'm going to ask you both to come up front here and let the commissioners all come up and gather behind you for a photo. Stand behind them. Okay, so if you'll come forward here, let's get all the commissioners. Let's come stand behind Attorney Taylor, his wife, Ms. Joyce. It's great to see you. We can
Squeeze in.
Squeeze in. Quick. So whomever wants.
Get in here closer.
All right.
Great. All right.
God bless you.
Thank you.
Bless you.
God bless you.
Thank you, sir. Try not to script the wedding this weekend.
So Attorney Varnell, you gotta say prayer. Their shoes got bigger.
I'll back her up on that, Chairman.
Okay, moving forward, we got one presentation, housing summary, Josh Branham.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I'll also add that Attorney Varnell also has to man the microphone here too. Those shoes get even bigger there. But Josh Branham, 2963 Emdecola Highway. Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for allowing this presentation today. As I mentioned, my name is Josh Branham, and I serve as Governmental Affairs Director for Greater Chattanooga Realtors. As you know, I typically bring monthly housing market updates specific to Hamilton County, but today I want to take a step back and provide a broader view. This short presentation looks at where our local housing market has been nearly 20 years ago and where we are today in terms of housing availability and attainability. My hope is that this context helps inform the decisions being made now and in the weeks ahead. I'll say about our, can we get screen or okay, I'm sorry. I'm the tech guy at my work and I know how it is to be put on the spot. So, but in the meantime, about Greater Chattanooga Realtors, we've been the voice of real estate in the Chattanooga region since 1912. We represent over 2,700 realtors across Hamilton and Sequatchie counties in Tennessee, but we also dip down into North Georgia representing Dade, Walker, and Catoosa counties. We are part of the National Association of Realtors, which means we are connected to the national housing data and policy efforts from the National Association. Who we serve. Our members cover a wide range of real estate specialties, from residential and commercial to land, multifamily, appraisals, and property management. We also work with affiliate professionals, including lenders, inspectors, closing attorneys, insurance agents, who all play a vital role in the local housing ecosystem. Our mission is to uphold the high standards of our association, support our members, and advocate for property rights and community engagement. We believe in professionalism, respect, advocacy, service, and being active partners in improving the quality of life in Hamilton County. We also operate the local MLS, which stands for the Multiple Listing Service for residential properties, and a commercial information exchange as well. Today, I will just be looking at residential real estate. This means that all the data you're about to see is pulled directly from the system that powers real estate in our region, and it is the most accurate snapshot available of what's happening in Hamilton County's housing market. Again, I'll emphasize that while our association represents 5 counties, all the information you're about to see is pertinent just to Hamilton County. The objectives here today, we will look at long-term housing trends that impact availability and affordability. You'll see how inventory over these 20 years has declined, how prices have risen, and how those trends may present challenges for residents and for our workforce. Our association is not here just to report the data, but we want to partner with decision makers like yourselves as well. A couple quick terms here. Months inventory is an important metric that I'll bring up in a second. Months inventory refers to how long it would take to sell all homes currently on the market, assuming that no new listings come on board. So again, it's months inventory measures how long it would take to sell every home available if you didn't add any more to that. 6 months is considered a balanced market by HUD, Freddie Mac, and Fannie Mae. Anything less than 6 months favors sellers, while anything more favors buyers. Looking at the months inventory trends, Hamilton County hasn't even, again, 6 months is the balanced market. Hamilton County hasn't even seen 5 months of inventory in the last 20 years. In fact, currently for 2025, measuring the 5 months that we have so far, we're currently sitting at 1.2 months. That means we're deep in a seller's market, which drives up prices and it limits the choices for buyers. Couple of terms here that I'll mention. Active listings refers to all homes currently for sale, while sold listings are those that have successfully been sold or closed, and new listings are the homes newly put into the market each month. Declining active listings. In 2012, we had nearly 1,500 homes for sale in a given month. Today, we have less than a third of that, around 439. I'm not a math guy, but you can see that's an enormous drop, and it means fewer choices for buyers at every single price point. We have consistent demand here. Despite limited inventory, demand has stayed steady over these years. People obviously want to move here and join us here in Hamilton County, and this tells us that this isn't a demand issue, it's a supply problem. We're seeing fewer and fewer homes even entering the market. Back in 2020, we averaged 552 new listings per month. In 2025, it's just 324. That decline limits growth and mobility in our community. So what does this mean? This all adds up to less supply, strong demand, and rising prices. This combination pushes home ownership out of reach for many working families, and it also puts pressure on rental markets and housing infrastructure. And so as we get to my last few graphs here, wanted to take a moment. Monthly average active listings. This highlights on average each month, when you average January through December of each year, when you get that average number, this is the active number of listings that are available throughout that year. So in 2006, you'll see on average monthly, there were 1,338 listings. As a point of reference, when you get to 2019, it was 901. In 2021, it dipped all the way down to 421. Again, currently we are sitting at 439. That's again the average available listings per month. This is the amount, the number of properties sold. Again, when you take January through December of each year and average those numbers, these are the numbers. These are the amount of homes that have been sold. Back in 2006, it was 429 houses. At the height of the market, you could argue, post-COVID in 2021, that number was 616 properties were being sold each month. And again, I want to reiterate, this is Hamilton County only. This price, you can see the amount of, for 2025, the amount of houses sold is 390. This shows that despite prices, despite inventory, that properties sold have remained constant and consistent, rather. Month's supply of inventory, I mentioned that it's consistently below the levels supporting a healthy market. In 2006, there were 3.2 months supply of inventory. We reached the height, as I mentioned, in 2011 with 4.6. So, almost getting close to 5 months. But again, as COVID and the like, with the market heating up, that brought us all the way down in 2021 to less than 1 month, than 0.7 months supply of inventory. And you can see over time, over these 20 years, that supply has continually decreased. Sold property, looking at the median sales price, it's up sharply in recent years, especially, as you can probably imagine, since COVID here. The median sold price in 2024 was just shy of $378,000 for the county. So you may be thinking, well, maybe people are just listing their sales price at a certain amount, and then you can only get a certain amount for that property, and maybe that throws off numbers. But I wanted to put this slide up so that you all could see, just kind of a shout out to our realtor members here. 90% of homes being sold is through utilizing a realtor. Again, 9 out of 10. And so you'll see this is the percentage of sales price to list price. So if you list a house, for example, for $100,000, which, we're using some round numbers here, but if you listed a house for $100,000 and it's sold for $99,000, that sales price ratio would be 99%. Yes, sir.
Your timing's, you about a minute left.
Okay, I'm on, I think my next to last one anyway, sir. So thank you. So anyway, I just wanted to point out that our members were able to get represent their clients very well, and we even you heard of situations with multiple offers in 2021 and 2022. They actually exceeded 100%, which is where the market was at that time. Sold days on market, this is the amount of time that it takes for a house to be listed until it is sold. And you can see over time, especially in 2021, 2022, that amount of time that it takes a house to be listed and sold decreased dramatically. In conclusion here, there's no single solution to our housing issue, but one thing is clear, we do need more housing inventory. And that includes everything from market rate homes to attainable housing for first-time buyers, families, and essential workers. Greater Chattanooga Realtors, our association, is here to help. Again, we want to be a resource as you consider land use policy, zoning development, and infrastructure. As I close today, I want to thank our MLS staff for helping me gather this data, and also Fancy Moore, our communications director. And I
Okay.
thank you again for your service for our community and for allowing us to be a part of this
Thank
conversation.
you. Okay, we got some lights. Commissioner Mackey?
Thank you, Chair. Josh, how many realtors are there? You are over the Chattanooga Board of Realtors.
Yes, sir.
And how many realtors are there?
For all 5 of our counties, we don't break it down by county, but all 5 counties, it's 2,700.
2,700. And how many houses are available right now?
Oh, right now for the month of May, I would be guessing off the top of my head,
That's
Dr.
okay.
Mackey. I don't want to give you inaccurate information.
About, though.
I will say it's much fewer than the amount of realtors that we have in our association.
Okay.
I don't want to give you inaccurate information.
Okay. If we're not building more houses, we're in trouble. The realtor is in trouble.
I would say that, yes, sir.
And then finally, what the commissioner from District 11 said is if we're not building, we'll send in the message, we're not open for business.
There are many things that I know enough to be dangerous about, but I will leave that to you, the decision makers. We're here to be a resource. But it is true that inventory has decreased over time, and limiting that can't help sales prices.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Chair.
I think you brought up a good point. We got to be building. They've got 5,000 plats already approved, already zoning changes approved just in my area alone. All they need is to start building. So I'd agree. Get them on it. Commissioner Highlander.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you for your service, and I want to thank the realtors for what they do. My daughter went through a sale not long ago, and without a realtor, it would not have been a good process. And I'd like to commend Commissioner Chauncey for the job that he's done as a realtor. And we've got quite a few people involved here in government that have done that. But thank you for the service that you all render.
Thank you very much.
Commissioner Graham.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Josh. That was a great presentation. Along with what Commissioner Mackey just said, the new housing starts, which we're obviously way behind on, right?
I'll leave that to the Home Builders Association. They have the new start data on their end. We cover the homes that are already constructed and listed.
But our inventory is so low, it's desperately low, correct?
According to this data, it is behind. Yes, sir.
And so those houses, even finished houses, still require painters and electricians and roofers and landscapers and concrete driveways or whatever. I mean, it creates a multitude of jobs that if we're not repairing, rebuilding, or building houses, that all those industries are suffering. The trades are suffering.
Yes, sir. Well, and I will add, a few months ago, I provided a report for you all. It averaged the average economic impact of one typical home sale. And for 2024, that amount was $175,000. And that was taking into account everything you said, land purchase, but also landscaping, painting, furniture, that sort of thing. So it
Surveyors,
is very
everything.
crucial to the economy.
But one other question. I've said this 1,000 times, and I think everybody agrees, but respectfully, I represent probably the most diverse district. I have the richest people in Hamilton County, and I have the poorest people in Hamilton County. And what's concerning to me is that with lack of inventory, please correct me if I'm wrong, that's what's driving our rental houses to ungodly numbers where people can't just really afford to pay their rent. Is that not right?
Well, I'll defer to rental agencies for that specific data. We have some rental data that's in our database, but it's not all encompassing. Some people are mom and pop shops and handle everything on their own. But I will say that lower inventory is an issue whether you're buying or renting.
Right, but the lower inventory is what causes the rental market to go higher. Is that not right? I mean, that's
I-
common sense.
I would suppose so, but again, there are many things that I'm just knowledgeable enough to be dangerous about.
Yeah. Thank you. That was a great presentation. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Commissioner Sharp.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Josh, for the presentation. I'm a little embarrassed to say that some of those numbers surprised me. I should have been more on top of some of that information. And frankly, it's quite alarming. And, you know, as business friendly as the state of Tennessee and Hamilton County likes to present themselves in word, I would like to think indeed we should be doing the same and making it easier for people to build homes so that we could sell homes, increase the level of availability, the supply, so to speak, to help ensure that we meet the demand. And that demand has increased tremendously. I'm going to have to internalize it. That is quite alarming. And, you know, I would hope that, that this body would do all we could do to make it easier for people to build homes and for people looking for a home to be able to find one that fits their needs. Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you, sir.
Commissioner Baker.
Josh, maybe it's a Brian question. I don't know. What's our annual growth rate per year in Hamilton County?
I think that is,
yeah. Is it like, yeah, Commissioner Highland said,
are we talking population?
yes.
or- I could find that for you. I would probably just
Brian, you
utilize
don't
the
know?
census.
Is it like 1%? I mean, that's Commissioner Highlander said, yeah? Who said yeah? Yeah, Nathan? Yeah, because I was talking, we had an airport board retreat the other day, and I was talking to Mayor Kelly, and I said 1%. He goes, where'd that figure come from? So I'd like to get back to him with the exact figure of what our growth is and the source. Can one of you guys, any of you guys provide that for? Perfect, thank you. Okay, that's it.
Commissioner Shipley.
Yeah, thank you for your presentation, but I got some questions. COVID, from COVID on, and being in the business construction time, COVID basically killed a lot of our construction, slowed it down, then increased that the vendors shot the price of everything up, from wood, block. That slowed the economy, killed the economy nearly at one point. Now, we're only right now beginning to rebound to build houses again because most of you builders, they pull back. I mean, smart move, because who wants 10, 12, 15 houses sitting out here you can't sell? Back to Chairman's, I think you got 7,000 over in y'all's area, 5,000. Counting what I see in my area, it's proved probably another 12, 1,400 on the books that can be built. I'm sure these things are going to happen, but we're still, don't you agree, in a poor economy. It's not all about what we're doing up here. It's about the economy, the loans, the interest rates, everything. It's not us slowing growth down. We've not closed shop. Thanks.
Okay. See no more lights. I just got a last comment that I agree with what Commissioner Shipley said. Actual numbers that we went through and counted in Collegedale over to Harrison North, there's, and Brian, I guess there's over 5,000 spots that have been already approved. Most have sewer. And I know that's been an issue. And that's in that area. There's over 5,000 homes physically, but we've counted, that's already been approved to be built on. And my challenge is we got to get to building. We've got, one of my colleagues up here said, you know, painters and bricklayers, we got to get them more jobs to do. We got to get the builders to building so that we can fill these needs. If we've got that much just in that area, imagine what it is throughout the county. So we're not land poor. We've got stuff out there that's been approved. We want more to approve, but we're not doing with what we got with now. So something to think about. A
It's
great
just
presentation.
purely data,
Yeah,
because
I understand.
staying in our lane.
Thank you, Josh. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
All right, we'll move forward. We're going to be looking at approving the minutes for the recess meeting for June 11th, 2025, the agenda session, June 11th, 2025, and the regular meeting of June the 18th, 2025. We'll also be looking at entering 3 reports into the record next week. Resolutions, we've got 3 resolutions as a whole, so we'll begin, Madam Clerk, 725-1, please.
Resolution 725-1, a resolution to approve and accept applications for notary public positions, the bonds and oaths of notaries previously elected, and the oaths of deputy sheriffs.
Okay, see no lights, no one standing. We'll take this up next week, 725-2.
Resolution 725-2, a resolution authorizing the reappointment of Mary Kay Roberts and the appointment of Dr. Andrew Denny to the Hamilton County Community Correction Advisory Board for a term ending July 7th, 2027.
Okay, see no lights, no one standing for comment. We'll take this up next week, 725-3.
Resolution 725-3, a resolution to confirm the appointments of Dr. Derek Anderson and Angel Moore and the reappointments of Terry Topping, Dr. Michelle Pickett, Sean Richards, and Manny Rico to the Hamilton County Regional Health Council.
Okay, no lights, no one standing for comment. We'll take this up next week. We do have 5 items on the Finance Committee, so when we adjourn the regular meeting or the agenda meeting, we'll do those first thing.
Yes, sir.
So with that, we'll move into announcements. Commissioner Shipley, any announcements?
No announcement.
Commissioner Baker?
I'd just like to congratulate Ruben again and Mrs. Taylor. Thank you for sharing him with Hamilton County for, I don't know, 45 years or however long it's been. 47 years. That's amazing. So I know doing what I do is the strength is the person behind him. So thank you for sharing him with us. Appreciate you.
Commissioner Smith?
No announcements, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Mackey?
No announcements.
Commissioner Beck?
No announcements.
Commissioner Sharp?
No announcements.
Commissioner Helton? Commissioner Chauncey? Commissioner Highlander?
Just briefly, the wife is the power behind the throne. So thank you, ma'am, as well. God bless you too.
Commissioner Graham?
No announcements.
Attorney Taylor?
Again, my sincere thanks to all of you. Thank you, sir. Thank you for all the comments and support. Thank you so much.
So I guess it's officially retiring. This is kind of like a new honeymoon for you.
Yes.
All right. All right, Mayor Wamp. Okay. And then from the chair, we're going to move into public portion. If anybody from the general public has anything to add, you get 3 minutes. Begins with your name and address. Jake, go ahead.
I find
Name
it
and
funny, the
address.
person that spoke after me last week, you didn't ask for their address or make sure that was mandated, but we'll just continue.
I
with the rules.
apologize. Let's go ahead with your name and address then, so we get started.
I thought I'd get started after I said my name and address, but Andrew Jones, 607 Timber Ridge Drive. Again, I think this is a point of contention for people to come up and speak and be free about it because they're scared about their address being on YouTube. I think we can all understand that. I think it's in a lot of ways disgraceful that I can't call out a specific commissioner as the public, not just me alone, under Tennessee law, but whatever. Tennessee law, the Constitution says, y'all are supposed to make us happy, and nothing happens unless we're happy. Nothing happens from the body of government without the people allowing it. And long story short, there's less and less people. Long story short, you are the news. What y'all say, what y'all do matters to the people. I've heard stories of politicians, school board members, and this isn't just here. I've been involved in politics before I moved to Hamilton County, where a wife has a problem, a child has a problem. I don't know what this police officer does, but I imagine if he's having a problem with his wife, he can't just call out of his job. When I was in the military and I have deep personal issues going on at home and I'm in Afghanistan, and my platoon sergeant says, I'm not sending you home for that problem, even though it's occupying all of my mind. This standard has dropped, gentlemen. Leadership is what I'm talking about. I'm sitting here and y'all are talking about numbers you don't even know. You're having conversations with numbers you don't have in front of you. And with the power of AI and the power of the internet, you should study beforehand, or you should look it up and take the time to figure it out, not get out of here for your next job. I mean, Plan Hamilton's been a 3-year deal, and you don't understand the processes of tabling. You don't understand the definitions of what you're saying up here. Attainable housing. Y'all are in charge of 336,000 people. And we're supposed to be happy. And I'm telling you, I talk to a lot of freaking people. I talk to people in Chattanooga. I talk to people at the city. I talk to people at the parks, the state parks. They're not happy. You need to get people involved with Plan Hamilton, and just building houses to build houses that suck, that you wouldn't move into, that you wouldn't want to buy, that you wouldn't want your children to buy into, is a problem. Think of it like an amusement park.
Thank you, Mr. Jones.
You need people here and you
Thank
need
Mr.
people
Jones.
happy.
Thank you, sir.
It's not hard.
Next. You got 3 minutes, begins with your name and address.
Well, thank you. Monty Bell, the homeless journalist, the gray-haired fox, the man with the $1 trillion voice. Pretty much like the commission in disarray, but not actually. Got for the first time yesterday a copy of Hamilton County's request for personal inspection of records. Got it for the first time on yesterday, year 2025. Open records request. Cover sheet, where you can find out what you're doing with finance, with the budget, with people lives, people court files, people lives, people court filings, people lives and people court filings, which I haven't been able to find any information at all. Now, Monty Bell's immediate removal from office ouster. This is a biggie. It's not as big as the Article 7, Section 1 that was removed at gunpoint by one of your deputies, but it's a pretty good one. That was plagiarized by the guy that's running out right now, my immediate removal from office ouster. First time in the history of this country that a black man from the ghetto put such a prestigious piece of legislation together, and it was stolen. And I'm charged with being a criminal in my own life. You all have tried to make me an accessory to my own murder. And I've had a whole lot of not feeling good about that. Communication. I have 2 open records requests that I brought in. I talked with the open or communications person, handed her a copy so you all could get it. Now they have 2. I wanted to talk about the open records request, but since the mayor's office has them, I've got to kind of wing it. Let me show you what I can do. Urgent. Open records request, January the 29th of last year. Non-compliance. Immediate removal from office ouster. Stolen. Motion against white derision, defamation of character, and slander filed against the city. County's name all over it, including the gentleman that's leaving. I could go down there, but I could just flip here. Monty Bell is very proficient. I've spent over 40 years as a communicator. This one says here, motion to withdraw as counsel of Monty Bell, ordered by the county attorney, Reuben Taylor. Comes now attorney Mary Sullivan Moore. It's right across the street, appointed to my life. You all owe me $211 billion,
Thank you,
$34
Mr. Bell.
million for your fraud
you.
on the entire
Thank
11th
you, Mr.
Judicial
Bill.
District Court. Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Thank you.
You're past due.
Anyone else? Yeah, I see her. Thank you. Ms. Sharon? Start your name and address, please.
Sharon Milling, County Attorney's Office, 625 Georgia Avenue. So Reuben was honored here today, and I appreciate y'all doing that, just like I appreciate him bringing us before y'all last week. What y'all don't know is how important the last almost 3 years have been. The last 3 years have been the most important in my career. The last 3 years have proven the phrase, when people show you who they are, believe them. Reuben has shown us who he is. Reuben has shown us he didn't have to stay. Reuben stayed to protect us. We stayed to support him. He has been the model of courage, dignity. His actions have been ethical in every respect. He has demonstrated compassion, and maybe the most important thing is he has demonstrated what it means to be loyal. And I've said this before, and I will say it again. He has demonstrated with us, so many of us have been with him a decade or more. And he has prayed with us. Y'all mentioned it in his being a pastor. He has prayed with us on many occasions. And I still remember the first time. I do not remember what the crisis was, but when you work somewhere 20 years, you're going to have crises in your personal life because that's what life is. And he grabbed my hands and said, well, let's pray about it. What a relief. What a relief. And I suspect the last thing that we'll do before we leave on Monday is we will pray together. And I wanted everybody to know how important he has been and what a model he has been and how important I consider these past 3 years for that reason. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, begin with your name and address, please.
Noah Johnston, 666 Charbel Street, Hickson, District 3. I just wanted to say that obviously Plan Hamilton has been a contentious issue. I think the people of the county are very opinionated about it, obviously. I was here last week and saw the crowd, and everybody has something to say. I think that the opportunity for community input, personally, as someone who works full-time, was not completely adequate. There were 2 opportunities I was able to participate, and those were taking place during work hours. I had to request off work to do those. So I don't know what it looks like for there to be more public input for you all to make a decision that will allow your constituents to feel like their voices have been heard. But the best recommendation that I can make is that each one of you individually reach out to people in your community during non-work hours and make it very easy for them to be able to be a part of it and have an in-person discussion with you about it. Even communicating with you all digitally or over the phone can be a bit of a difficult thing compared to like an in-person opportunity to speak to you. I want to thank Commissioner Smith for replying to my email that I sent last week to clarify some issues. But, you know, when I was out in the lobby talking to people last week after the mass exodus that took place, a lot of people were even unable to tell me like what it means for something to be tabled and what it'll take for something to come off the table. And most of the people that I spoke to out there were under the impression that because you tabled it, there's no way for them to know when it's going to come off the table. And they're going to have to just hopefully wait around. And, you know, one of the ladies that's here often said, you know, maybe one of the commissioners will reach out to me and let me know that I need to round up the warriors and come here because it's about to come off the table, but we can only hope for that to be the case. We don't know. So for instance, a huge group of people that showed up to make public comment weren't aware of the fact that if it's still on the table today, then it dies on the vine, as y'all had spoken about earlier. So I just feel like the public, I don't know what it's going to take, but the public needs to be better educated on the process, on the rules of this body. And also, I think that the public would appreciate many more opportunities to speak with you all and have town halls and those sorts of things, not during work hours. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Okay. Anyone else? Okay, see no other business. Will be adjourned until July the 2nd, 9:30 a.m. We'll begin our Finance Committee meeting.
Madam Clerk, are you ready to jump right in? Great. Madam Clerk, please read 725-4.